least ideas I have for next year.
Yeah,
And I want to, in this meeting though with Nashville, ask for to square off, have more space. I wouldn't mind putting the pumpkins out there so they don't fade the cabbages. All the viney stuff, melons, but square that off the edge of the footprint of the old house where the barn is. Come right up, square it up. Because Scott Decker, who was the head of DPW at that time, said, "Yeah, if you do good, I don't think there'd be a big problem with expanding it if you do a good job with what you had." So I'd like to square it off. Are we actually going to do that?
Good morning. We call this meeting of the Berry County Board of Commissioners to order for September 24th, 2024. Will Commissioner, staff, and guests please stand for invocation and pledge of allegiance?
Heavenly Father, thank you for another beautiful day in Berry County. Thank you for this rain that is so badly needed. We thank you for all of the blessings that you have bestowed on us. We thank you for the opportunity to serve you and to serve our community. Bless us, guide us, and all those who work alongside us for the betterment of Berry County. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. For purposes of attendance, Madam Clerk, will you call the roll?
Carlton. Present. Campbell.
Here.
Doster.
Present.
Getty. Here. Hatfield.
Here.
Smelker.
Here.
Tunison.
Here.
Jackson.
Here. Thank you. Reports from state and county officials. Are there any state or county officials here this morning that would like to address the board?
Good morning, Board.
Morning.
Just wanted to give a quick update that last evening the Planning Commission did approve the solar project in Johnstown Township through the special use process and granted the preliminary site plan approval. We do know there's going to be some adjustments, minor adjustments made, but they did allow for some administrative allowances with that. Secondly, I know everybody's been asking, so this is Chris Minnell. He is our enforcement officer. Chris works Monday through Thursday, full time, so the full 8-hour days. He's usually on the road, so if you want to come in and see him, it's often good to make an appointment because we have a lot of county to cover with the enforcement issues. I'll just say a brief word or two, and if you have any questions.
Excellent.
As Jim said, my name's Chris Minnell. I'm the enforcement officer. I've met with a couple different supervisors, and I look forward to meeting with more of you. I'm starting to make my way around to township meetings, so I'll be seeing more of you. I guess for purposes right now, I can tell you that so far this year, I've been able to confirm and close 19 separate complaints throughout the county. I still have close to 90 that are open, but I'm working on them. I work with several different people to get them in compliance so we can close their complaints and hopefully get things straightened out.
Okay. Awesome. Questions for Chris?
Yeah, I got a question. So basically the supervisors are the ones that get the complaints a lot of times, okay? And like Johnstown or Baltimore or whatever. So they know where a lot of these sites are too. I mean, that's, I think, who you need to be in contact with is the supervisors a lot of the times, because they know, because they have people calling them all the time saying, hey, this place down here's got 20 abandoned cars out there or whatever, okay? And I mean, and the complaints don't always come to you. They go to the supervisor.
Right, and they should contact us if they receive those.
Right.
They can do that by email or phone call.
Yeah, well, a lot of times they don't, and I don't know whether the supervisors instruct them to do that or what, but that was what the complaints were, that the supervisor that came here was that they maybe they should be calling you then, I guess. I don't know.
If they receive
Yeah.
one, they should, yeah.
Yeah.
So it should be forwarded to us.
Bruce has got more on this, I think.
Yes. Appreciate you being here, Chris. It's nice to meet you. You got a very tough job, I know that. But I think waiting almost a year before we've seen anything of our new officer at the townships has caused me especially a lot of pain issues from constituents and stuff, just because they want to meet their new zoning. So I'm hopeful that we can get them out there as soon as we can,
Good start.
so I can sleep better at night.
Yeah, we're starting, so he's going to the village of Nashville here on the 10th of October, and he's been down to Berry Township. So he's starting to make the rounds.
I appreciate
There is a
that.
significant learning curve.
I'm
for
sure.
the enforcement, and it's, I don't want to send anybody out to the wolves before they're capable of answering
Yeah.
questions. Even when we had our previous enforcement officer, Jack, he didn't go out for a year. It takes a year to learn it. So now we're about ready, and I think he's confident enough to get out there and be able to answer any of the questions that pop up.
Yeah, and I appreciate that, Jim. Thank you.
Commissioner Doster.
I'd just like to say thank you for doing this job. They always say that this position, the prosecuting attorney, is another one. You don't make friends, all you do is accumulate people that are upset or, have a problem. And it takes a special kind of person to be willing to do this position, and I'm thankful that you're willing to do it. Thank you.
Awesome. Any additional questions or comments? Thank you, Chris.
And again, anytime
Thank
you
you,
have
Jim.
questions, feel free to stop down into the office, and we can.
Thanks, Chris.
Individually. Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Any other additional reports from state or county officials? Hearing none, limited public comment. At this time, any member of the public wishing to address the board may do so for up to 3 minutes.
Eldon Schellenberger, Hastings. I would like you to know that I have been asked by some of the citizens of Berry County to run as a write-in candidate for prosecutor. And they have plenty of complaints and everything. And also, don't know whether you guys are well aware of it or not. Some of you may, some of you may not. At one time, she was fired from the prosecutor's office. Also, to let you know that I had an issue with him, and I had an assistant prosecutor fired. And I don't have a lawyer's degree, but that isn't the issue. Because of the politics that's being played, and there's no justice, the people and the citizens of this county is very upset. I've heard it, all kinds of things. And when you get up here and speak to the Board of Commissioners regarding politics and not justice, that's not right. And if you're going to be uphold to your constitutional duties, politics should not play a factor in doing your job. And as I see, the prosecutor didn't act no different than the one sheriff's sergeant that was up here, really reaming you guys, acting violent. If that had been any other citizen, they'd have been arrested and carted off to jail. So I think there needs to be some protocol in here. When you act like that and you threaten people, then you should be put in jail. Because there's no room, agree to disagree up here, but you guys are here elected by the public too to do the job that you have to do. But when you have somebody like Rochelle Spencer who come up here and acted like she was off the wall, a crazy person, just like the prosecutor, there's no room for that. Agree to disagree and don't act like idiots in front of everybody and threaten people and everything. But I just want to let you know that the public is real upset about this. Thank you.
Thank you. Additional public comment? Hearing none, approval of written agenda. At this time, any member of the board may ask for an item to be removed from the consent agenda and placed under items for consideration. It's a pretty short consent agenda, so look long and close. So, hearing no such request, does any commissioner wish to change the agenda additionally? Hearing no such request, the agenda is approved as written. Various correspondence. Does any commissioner have correspondence they'd like to share with the board? Okay. Consent agenda, Commissioner Getty.
I move for the approval of the September 10th, 2024 Board of Commissioners meeting minutes.
Is there support?
Support.
Motion by Getty, support by Tunison for all items listed on the consent agenda. Discussion is not allowed and a roll call vote is required. All those in favor vote aye, opposed vote nay. Madam Clerk, will you call the roll?
Carlton,
Aye.
Campbell,
Aye.
Doster,
Aye.
Getty,
Aye.
Hatfield,
Aye.
Smoker,
Aye.
Tunison,
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye. The consent agenda is approved. Presentations, we have none. Public hearings, we have none. Items for consideration, Commissioner Smelker.
Mr. Chair, I move for the approval of claims in the amount of $108,717.05.
Is there support?
Support.
Motion by Smelker, support by Getty for approval of claims in the amount of $108,717.05. Additional discussion?
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
I did have a question on, I think it's page, there's two things. One on page 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think it's the 5th item to the sheriff, and I see that he's here. Maybe he can respond to this. For sheriff meals and parking for like $80. And then there's one on page 4 for Mark Noteboom, number 3 on the list for $60 for fuel. I was wondering if he could respond to those, what those are.
I'm fine with that. The sheriff wants to address it. He doesn't have the document in front of him.
Okay. I'm sorry. Anywhere in particular?
Okay.
Do we generally pay for conferences in Florida?
If it is part of an organization that you're a member of, I think they do pay for or allow expenses for those. Would that be correct, Eric? I mean, we allow for professional organizations.
Yes, and that was the only thing, to my knowledge, I've seen on the budget that we've been charged for that. Sure.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, no boom was because his fuel card didn't work. So we have a fuel card, I'm sorry, let me say that one. All our cards have fuel cards in them, so we go up to the gas pumps, it automatically takes the taxes out. And, well, Mark didn't have, his fuel card was not working at that time, so he had to use his own card twice on it. So that's what that's for.
Okay.
Good, thank you.
Additional questions? Hearing none. Madam Clerk, will you call the roll?
Carlton, Campbell,
Aye.
Doster,
Aye.
Getty, Hatfield,
Aye.
Smoker,
Aye.
Tunison,
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye. The motion is approved.
I move for the approval of an exception to the county nepotism policy to allow for the incoming undersheriff, Kevin Erb, to work in the same department as his daughter, Sheriff Cadet Jacquelyn Erb.
Is there support?
Support.
Motion by Smelker, support by Colton for approval of an exception to the county nepotism policy to allow for the incoming undersheriff, Kevin Erb, to work in the same department as his daughter, Sheriff Cadet Jacquelyn Erb. Discussion.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I have a question. So is he going to be her commander?
No.
Okay. So what would it be if we hired 2 twins at the same time into the same department? Would that violate the nepotism policy?
I haven't read it, but Eric?
Yeah, what the nepotism policy states is that no immediate family member may work in the same department as another family member. So, with Mr. coming back as undersheriff and his daughter there, that's why we had to look at this nepotism aspect. But on your hypothetical, yes, I would say that one of them, we could only hire one of them in the same department unless they came through, the policy allows for an exception to be granted by the Personnel Committee or the Board of Commissioners.
Thank you.
And in this particular case, there are 2 supervisors between Jacquelyn Erb and Kevin Erb. So he is not supervising his daughter or making disciplinary decisions with her. And that was part of the agreement, is that he would not be involved in any of those decisions as well.
But he is supervising their supervisors.
He is supervising their supervisors. That is correct. Am I saying that correctly, David?
You're saying that correctly, and as Eric pointed out, the policy does grant us the authority, or the Personnel Committee, the authority to make these kinds of exceptions. The issue is, this should have come to us before the hiring takes place rather than after the hiring takes place, because it gets particularly difficult to deal with it after the fact.
So the only addition on that is that at least to this date, he hasn't started yet. He won't start till October 1st, based on MERS separation time. So he actually is not serving yet. So, I mean, the way it worked out, I would agree. I would prefer it to be done earlier in the process, but we're still okay at this point.
Okay.
If you don't grant the exception, then by policy, he couldn't start work.
Okay.
Did I also see in the minutes of the Personnel Committee that he would also, even if it came to him, a decision regarding his daughter, that he would recuse himself from that? Okay.
So he will not, under any circumstances, be engaged in any discussions relative to her career.
Okay.
Additional discussion? Commissioner Campbell.
Yeah, it probably sounds like a broken record, but I've done that before. With the Personnel and Human Services, I'm still having trouble wrapping around that one. We have a committee that's appointed, totally appointed, picked, handpicked. We have a committee that decides what they're gonna have on their agenda, and they're actually deciding what we end up on our agenda with. We even had an agenda last week for the Personnel and Human Services, but didn't have enough agenda to have a cow meeting. So the intent, I heard the intent was to take a load off the rest of the commissioners and all of our meetings. And I think when we have enough taken off that we don't even have a meeting, I think we've gone too far. To me, this committee should be working at the pleasure of the board, not the board working at the pleasure of this committee. And right now, the board is working at the pleasure of the committee. And that's just not right. My constituents don't get any representation. Yeah, I can come in here and ask those 4 members stuff, but I don't have the opportunity to talk to the people that are putting it forward. Those are the people I should be talking to about it. So hopefully that can be changed in the future, because I just don't see a place in this county to have this separate board of commissioners with 4 people on it.
I think that will be addressed when we seat the new board, that we'll make a decision if we want to continue with the Personnel Committee or if we want to mothball it. So comments appreciated.
One more. I think we don't need to wait till January 1st to start making sensible decisions about when they meet and what they discuss and how the regular Board of Commissioners are being overlooked. That can be done right away, whether you change the language in the bylaws or not right now.
Okay.
It can be taken into consideration.
Okay. If you want to get with administration, you can put together an agenda request and they can bring that to the board at the next cow.
Well, I'm just saying that you, as a chairman, hold the power. Who's ever setting these agendas for the Personnel and Human Services, who's ever setting that agenda, also has the power to do it right now without it going on to an agenda as to which way you're distributing it. Because as I see it right now, you're distributing it in any way you see fit. Right up to the point that we don't have a meeting last week and the Personnel and Human Services Committee does. That's ridiculous.
Thank you. Additional comments? Hearing none. Madam Clerk, will you call the roll?
Carlton,
Aye.
Campbell,
No.
Doster,
Aye.
Getty,
Aye.
Hatfield,
Aye.
Smelker,
No.
Tunison,
No.
Jackson.
Aye. The motion is approved.
Mr. Chair, I move for the transfer of the GIS analyst position, one full-time employee, from the Information Technology Department to the Planning and Zoning Department.
Is there support?
Support.
Motion by Smelker, support by Hatfield for approval to transfer the GIS analyst position from the Information Technology Department to the Planning and Zoning Department. Eric, do you want to comment on that?
Some of you may know our GIS analyst left right about the same time I was coming on board. I tried to take it personal, for a new position in Eaton County. During that process, I had a discussion with IT Director Ward and Planning and Zoning Director McManus about the future of that position, where it should sit. Director Ward asked me not to move it out of IT. He said he wasn't comfortable with he's comfortable enough with GIS, but didn't really feel like he added anything by managing the department. So we looked at what options we had. You know, we could have worked with 911, which is a lot of counties do. A lot of counties have separate departments. Planning and zoning it sits in, and then some in IT. So for the future of the department, as we're using GIS, I really felt that planning and zoning was the right way, the right department for it to sit in. It's a land use issue, really mapping, and it'll continue to work with 911, Road Commission, and everybody. That's our goal. We want to move it throughout the organization. I just feel with the background of typical planning and zoning directors and anybody we're going to hire, they're going to have GIS background, and they're going to understand the system. So that's why I'm recommending moving it over to IT, from out of IT to planning and zoning. No change in budget, just changing the amounts from one department to the other, so really no budget hit on that.
Okay, thank you. Additional questions for Eric? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, will you call the roll?
Carlton,
Aye.
Campbell,
Aye.
Doster,
Aye.
Getty,
Aye.
Hatfield,
Aye.
Smelker,
Aye.
Tunison,
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye. The motion is approved.
Mr. Chair, I move for the approval to move corrections officers Kaylee West and Susan McCracken ahead 1 year on the pay scale, with the next pay steps to occur as prescribed in the bargaining agreement, and to provide retroactive payment for 2,080 hours calculated on the hourly pay difference between the 2-year and 3-year pay steps in the amount of $2,350.40 per employee, contingent upon written acceptance of the proposed grievance settlement by the Corrections Division.
Thank you. Motion by Smelker, support by Getty for approval to move Corrections Officer Kaylee West and Susan McCracken ahead 1 year on the pay scale, with the next pay steps to occur as prescribed in the bargaining agreement, and provide retroactive payment for 2,080 hours calculated on hourly pay difference between the 2-year and 3-year pay steps in the amount of $2,350.40 per employee, contingent upon written acceptance of the proposed grievance settlement by the Corrections Division. Discussion. We had, formerly we had a grievance board. The grievance board would meet as needed to go through these conflicts with various bargaining agreements, sit down, make a decision, or make an offer back and forth. In this case, we had a couple employees who were hired in 2021 at the 1-year step level. So it's an increase from where their starting pay would have been for someone coming in new. At the end of the 1-year step, they didn't move to the 2nd-year step. They stayed at the 1 year for an additional year. So after reviewing this, there was some communication in 2022 but there was never a grievance filed until recently. So I'm not sure what the dynamics were for not looking at that, other than perhaps the letter of understanding that we approved between the Sheriff's Department and the Board of Commissioners. So the options were, they came in, made their case. They were asking for roughly somewhere between $10,000 to $12,000 in back pay. We felt this was probably going to go to arbitration, which means we have to pay attorneys. We got to spend some money, and in the end, it's probably going to come down to somewhere in the middle. So the agreement, or what we had proposed, was that we move them to the 4th year on the STEP program where they belong, and instead of paying $10,000 or $12,000, we're paying them that 1 year, basically 1 year of service for 80 hours back. So it was a midway agreement that probably would have arrived at with an arbitrator involved in it. These are 2 employees since 2021 that have exemplary records. They're very good employees for the Corrections Department, that we didn't want to make a contentious situation out of this, and we thought this was a good resolution for everybody concerned. So, I don't know if Commissioner.
No, I think that's well said. Unfortunately, the key issue that caused this problem was when we shifted payroll from the clerk's office to administration, and they took a little closer look at how pay grades were being handled within the various departments, including the sheriff's department. And that's when it came to light that their past practices, which have been going on for some period of time, were not consistent with what was prescribed in the union contract. So when that came to light, that's when they were denied the increase or the change in status from the 1 year status to the 2 year status. It didn't really get brought up before because we were at that point entering into negotiations with the unions to come up with those memorandums that we approved a few months ago. And it originally was thought that the specific situation involving these 2 employees would be included in those memorandums. The decision was made not to deal with this specific issue, but just to deal with the true contractual issues. So these 2 got left out in the cold. I think with the memorandums that we approved a couple months ago, the situation has certainly been clarified. Everybody knows now exactly what the criteria is for when exceptions can be made to credit a prospective employee with past relevant service. But we don't want to lose these 2 deputies. They're exemplary employees, as Dave said, and this seems to be a reasonable compromise.
And for a historical perspective, these decisions never came before the full board. They always went before the grievance board in the past, which was a 3-person board. The grievance board was involved in the personnel committee, so it would not have come before this board until it went through either the grievance or personnel. So, additional questions or discussion? Commissioner Doster?
Just for clarification, I thought I heard the chair say that you were requesting 1 year's worth of salary. You're requesting the difference between the
Yes, the difference between the pay grades.
the pay grade.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's not a full year's salary, it's the difference, had they been moved from that 1 year status to 2 year status on a timely basis.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, good clarification. Commissioner Smelker?
Have you talked to the ones that wrote the grievance, are they somewhat in favor of this, or don't we know yet?
They've agreed to it.
Oh, good.
Yep. They sent a letter back almost immediately saying they accepted the offer, so. Additional questions or discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, will you call the roll?
Carlton.
Aye.
Campbell.
Aye.
Foster.
Aye.
Getty.
Aye.
Hatfield.
Aye.
Smelker.
Aye.
Tunison.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye. The motion is approved. Unfinished business, we have none. New business, we have none. County Administrators Report.
Thank you for the commissioners who've taken the time out to meet with me. I've appreciated and learned a lot from each of you. Commissioner Smelker and I will be meeting next week after the cow. And then just Commissioner Jackson after that. So thank you all. Yeah, just getting around the county. I still have to get out to meet with the sheriff. I think I got a few more scheduled over the next 2 weeks. So reminder, I will be on vacation. I know I started a job and I'm taking vacation. The 4th through the 8th, I'll be out of the state. So I will miss this first BOC in October.
And I just wanted to say that I appreciate the written report and the detailed information on what's going on and who you're meeting with. It's helpful to have eyes on that and just see that you are hitting the ground running. And it's good to see that communication, so.
Trying to. I would say I do have a few goals we're going to hit soon. We're starting department head meetings up again. So second Thursday in October, we're going to have all the electeds and the appointed department heads meeting. Start some collaboration. I will be trying to add some communication efforts for the community to increase that outreach and transparency. And then the financial software piece is moving forward quick. So we'll be bringing, we'll have more information for that before the end of the year, hopefully.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Chairperson's report. We were at Hope Township, Berry Township, Rutland Township, and Prairieville Township last Wednesday. I think the governance board meeting for Wednesday tomorrow was canceled. So that is it for me for the moment. Vice Chairperson's report.
Several things. Jim McManus reported on the Planning Commission meeting last night. We did have a reasonably full house and 8 to 10 comments probably about the Consumers Energy Project. Half of those really were issues that needed to be addressed either at the state or federal level, having to do with the viability of solar energy projects. The other issues really should have been brought up when we were developing the ordinance, because they had no bearing on the validity of the site plan that was approved. So we appreciated their attendance and their input, but end result was that the project was approved and we'll be moving forward next spring. We also had one farmland preservation request that we recommended be forwarded to this body for approval. We'll see that sometime in the next couple of weeks. Also attended the West Michigan Regional Planning Commission meeting last week. We actually that meeting moves around the region. We hosted it here for this month and had a good meeting. Really no projects at this point that involve us, unfortunately. Also attended the Workforce Development Board meeting in Grand Rapids. The good news is that for the most part their programs have been refunded in the latest budget, so those will continue, and we are seeing continued increases in the involvement of Berry County manufacturers in some of those training and development programs. Also had the Chamber EDA board meeting. One interesting bit of news coming out of that was that Berry County has been classified as an A-rated zone for what's referred to as woody biomass energy generation projects. Woody biomasses are essentially where they take scrap wood coming out of, or sawdust coming out of sawmills, or they're cleaning up debris on forest floors, but they can use that for the production of energy. And that's a fairly new push on the part of the state to encourage that type of business, but we've already got a couple of firms that are looking at Berry County as a potential location for a biomass energy generation facility. At this point, do no greater detail, but it appears that that's a fairly clean form of energy production, and just one more thing that will create employment in Berry County.
Awesome, thank you. Commissioner Tennyson.
Attended Hastings Charter. That was the only one I had this month. Mike took care of Colton and you did Rutland. But one thing they did bring up, and I'm hoping you could address this, Mr. Chair, possibly moving some meetings, our meetings, to night meetings, and also out of this location. So I told them I'll bring it up, and I was hoping you would address it, so.
Gonna have them at your house?
No problem, I got a big enough pole barn.
And we have had night meetings in the past. I'm sure when Commissioner Doster was on the board, this has been a long time thing that's been discussed. And maybe we should consider it. I was actually in favor of doing like the BO or the cows during the day and the BOCs in the evening, but the board at that time felt that was way too confusing for people to have meetings at different times. There's security issues for people being in and out of the building at different times. And then it's also the issue when people do want to make a presentation, or you have elected officials or department heads that want to address the board, they have to do it in the evening. So is it possible that we can do some evening meetings? And we typically do when we have things like the solar ordinance that we wanted to address. When there are bigger things, we do. But we can always revisit that. It's just one of those things that the logistics of it have been expensive, and the benefits, and for boards that have tried it in the past, the turnout is a lot of the same people and almost no new people. So it's requested but never fulfilled. So historically, not to say we can't do it again. So, you know.
Thank you.
Yes. Commissioner Campbell.
Thank you. I'm going to Thornapple and DHS tomorrow. And then Chris, it was very nice to have Chris in here today. I'm hoping that in the future we can look for something, if change is made in that we can just get them to go around earlier for an introduction. It doesn't have to be a full-blown seasoned enforcement officer in training. Just an introduction to the townships. I think it's wrong to make them wait a year to just meet the person.
I agree.
So I'd like to see that change come about.
Thank you. Commissioner Smelker, welcome back.
Attended Irving Township. Their main discussion was putting a standby generator in because they lost power during the last election. So they're discussing that and taking bids on that. And I attended 911 yesterday. And the startup date is for the two 800 towers is between November 10th and 20th. Am I right on that, Dar?
Yeah, right around there.
Yeah. Memory ain't as good as it used to be.
This year?
This year.
Okay. Yeah. Beautiful. Both towers.
Both towers.
They're moving ahead that fast. Okay. Fantastic. Commissioner Getty.
I have the Village of Middleville tonight, and an announcement, the Fall Harvest Festival and Tractor Show is at Charlton Park this Saturday, Friday and Saturday, so hopefully come out for that. Pancake breakfast early Saturday morning, so I'll be doing something at the breakfast, maybe just taking money. They don't trust me flipping pancakes. And last Saturday's Outdoor Youth Day was very successful. They had over 500 people come through at Charlton Park. They had a bike rodeo. We gave away over 140 bike helmets to kids in the county. So Very successful. Very hot, but very successful.
Been a nice stretch of weather for September, so no complaints. Commissioner Colton?
I've had meetings in Nashville and Woodland, but I do want to say something about meetings at night or in other places. And someone once said something similar, that those who don't learn from history are bound or destined to repeat it. Well, so when I was chair many years back, we heard these voices and we responded, and we split meetings into daytime and nighttime, and even changed locations. And definitely the change locations things was a disaster, because then people didn't always know where we were, and heck, we'd go to some township and they didn't unlock it, so we'd be standing outside. And so I would not suggest changing locations. And as far as going to night meetings, we actually had a lower turnout than during day meetings, because then I realize if you have night meetings, then it's available for people who work during the day. But then if you have night meetings, then it's not available for people who work at night. So, you're getting some here, but you're losing some here, and we ended up with less overall attendance. So that's just remind you of what happened in the past on that issue. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Doster?
Attended the Substance Abuse Division of SWIMBA, which is, this board appoints me to that, meets in Portage. It's a 9-county conglomeration. They had their annual meeting where they approved the budget. We will be receiving funds for both mental health and for the court system here. We continue to increase our funding through them. That money, most of it comes from liquor tax, PA2 funds they're called, but they also, the liquor tax can be used for a great number and variety of services, and so they specifically try to lobby for other grants that are specific to use first and kind of save those funds for unusual requests. They start an hour early for their annual meeting because they have people who, just ordinary people who have been helped by the program, come and give testimony, basically, every year, which is very enlightening, I think, to see people who've been challenged with drugs and that form of life, that it's ruined their life for decades, show progress or show, that they're actually finding places to live and work, and that these funds or directly correlate to helping these people. One program that I noticed a couple other counties are using that I had not thought of that would be possible for us to ask for maybe is, it's a small program, but they fund for tokens for transit, to get people to treatment, get them to the doctor, get them, and somehow they're able to give those tokens out anonymously, or so that there isn't a stigma attached to using them. And a number of people have testified that one little thing helped them more than a lot of other higher funded programs, because they might have the money to get where they were supposed to, but they didn't have it to get back, so they didn't go, and that encouragement helped a great deal, and that might be something we could look into in the future.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, commissioners.
One more thing I forgot.
Yep, go ahead.
Might need Dar's help on some of these dates. That the big tower on, I think, is it Swift Road, Dar? And you can see it going down 79. The state owns that. It has become overloaded, and the state is going to build a new one there. And when they do that, that's a 425-foot tower. It will be taken down to 75 feet for a short time. So some of you commissioners might get some complaints on radio traffic, but it's only gonna be for a short time, and then the new one will be up and running. I believe the new one goes up, and then they're transferring the lighting and stuff over on the new one, and then it'll be ready to go. But when they see that tower coming down, there is another one going up there.
Wow.
And that one is the main one that the county runs off of for now. But it's not gonna happen until Middleville and Hastings are up and running, so they can help carry the load.
Okay, good information. Limited public comment. At this time, any member of the public wishing to address the board may do so for up to 3 minutes. Dun, dun. Okay. Hearing none. Other business, we have none. Commissioner comments, Commissioner Doster?
I went and saw the movie Reagan yesterday, and it's great. Don't believe the critics on it. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a great movie, and I think something that we shouldn't forget. There are things in there that we just should not forget.
Thank you. Interesting. Commissioner Carlton? Commissioner Getty?
Nothing.
Commissioner Smelker? Commissioner Hatfield?
Well, for Commissioner Smelker and Commissioner Tunison, as members of the airport board, I was, unfortunately, I didn't see it on Facebook until Sunday, but I see that Gino put together an event on Saturday, and I just was very happy to see that. He obviously is interested in trying to do everything he can to increase the exposure of the airport in a positive way. So my positive feedback on that.
Thank you.
Yeah, good guy, very interactive.
Yes.
Yeah, he is. He's a go-getter.
I was sorry that I didn't see it in time to get out there on Saturday.
Yeah, they gave the board free rides, I believe, and you could have had mine.
Yeah. Mine too. My feet are not leaving the ground.
I prefer to fly in things that are slightly more substantive than nylon and aluminum too, but,
Yeah.
I prefer Bruce's hay rides, thank you. So, Commissioner Campbell?
Thank you. Just to let everybody know, we're having a huge community auction out in Delton on Saturday. It's put on by the Revitalized Delton Group, and all the proceeds from it are going to nonprofits in the area. I'm talking about it because it's going to be at our VFW, which I'm very pleased to have it there. We have 13 acres of property, and it appears that most of it's going to be filled up. So it started out with one auction running from 2 o'clock to 6 o'clock. They started getting so much stuff involved with big items, tractors, boats, it's everything there you can imagine. So then they moved they started making the flyers 10 till 6 o'clock. The auctioneer, we went and looked at the, I believe, 6 different barns that all the stuff is being stored in right now. And he's contemplating another auctioneer there, so having 2 auctioneers going all day. So it's going to be a big one. It's for a good cause. It's all the proceeds will be divided by the Revitalized Delton Group to go to nonprofits in the area. So a good project.
Yeah, it's a great community auction. They have a goal to raise $100,000, and they want to put housing in the area. I have actually donated some guns and crossbows and some other stuff that we had when we took my dad's stuff out. We put a bunch of stuff. At one point, I heard that they had 13 different storage units and or barns with stuff in it. So anything from Corvettes and trucks and ATVs, you name it, there is stuff there. So
Where's this at?
I was very skeptical when they came to me about it. I thought, well, okay, play along with it. But it's just exploded. People grabbing that thing in their garage. It's still a good piece of equipment, but they've just never used it in 5 or 6 years. They're just donating the stuff in, and so
Don't talk about
it's going to be
me
a
that
large profit.
But it is. It's
Large
at
profit.
VFW in Delton.
Oh, okay.
We happen to know the post commander there.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and you forgot the best part though. So the auction is from 10 to 6, but at night is casino night at the VFW. So you have a chance to also contribute, have some fun, have a beverage of your choosing, and participate in continuing to fundraise. I understand that there will be prizes, but not cash prizes because of the gambling laws in the state that we have to.
Right, and then they're also doing some special, that's limited to 100 tickets in there. And they're gonna, the food and everything is free in there. And they're gonna do a special auction in there where they have some Uncle Ted stuff, hunting stuff signed and autographed among some other stuff. So
Oh, that's
it's
right,
gonna be
Ted
a lot
Nugent's got an autographed bow,
Yeah,
arrows,
there's
and some
gonna
other
be
stuff
some
in
nice
there.
stuff auctioned in there to a select group. that
Kevin
comes
Van
to
Dam's
that.
got some stuff, some fishing gear that he's auctioning off as well, so.
I was hoping they would get some Dave Jackson autographed gear, but
They haven't, but they washed off the autograph, just so they thought it would bring more, so, but.
I got a question, Dave.
Yes.
Bruce, is the stuff gonna be out on display a day or two before?
Yeah,
where
it's
people
planned to
can
be.
look at it?
Yeah, plan to be all set up on Friday totally. And then we'll be in the grounds at 8 o'clock Saturday morning. The auction will start at 10. So there'll be food available outside. We also have special license to serve inside for adult beverages to the public. So everything's all set up good. All you gotta do is show up.
Okay.
It's gonna be a big day in Delton. Commissioner Tunison.
Well, early voting will be starting here real soon, so don't want to forget about the transit renewal. That will be coming up too, and everybody realize how important that is to citizens of Berry County that really need it and use it. One other renewal will be the sinking fund for Hastings area schools, which is also very important. A lot of people say, what's a sinking fund? Well, a sinking fund is an emergency fund for when a boiler goes out or major expense, that big time dollar expense comes up. And that's what sinking fund is. And that's what keeps it coming out of the general budget, which takes away only from kids. So it's just a renewal. You've already been paying it. People be aware it's not a tax increase by any means. But it is very important to the school system that this passes, because I'd hate to see they've made some major improvements up there, and I'd hate to see anything taken away from the kids out of the general budget, such as busing or extracurricular activities after school. So just wanted to give a plug on that too, so thank you.
Absolutely, thank you. We covered the community auction in Delton. Thank you, Bruce. One thing I forgot to mention is at Rutland Township, there was quite a discussion about the potential for the Myers coming in. So there is a hill to climb there in relationship to the negotiation between the city and the tax base of 16 mills in Hastings versus what they're paying in Rutland, and the properties involved that would have to be annexed to create that Meyer project out there. So it's in the beginning stages, and I'm hoping there can be some middle ground on it. It would certainly be a nice addition for the community to have a Meyer in town. But right now, there's a considerable amount of negotiation that needs to happen to make that happen, because there is not a meeting of the minds at this time on how to make that work via a traditional 425 arrangement where the city takes over and the taxes, and there's some interesting feelings going on right there. So we'll see where that goes. Commissioners, we are at the end of the month. Don't forget your mileage reports. Some of you are better than others. I'm not looking at anybody in particular, but so, one of the things that we did as a board last year was we decided to can the compensation committee. So the personnel committee is taking a look with the guidance of Eric and Luella and the budget over potential compensation going forward for elected officials, including commissioners. Commissioners have to have their compensation set for 4 years. It cannot be changed. Other elected officials can be adjusted on a year-to-year basis upwards. So we're going to be reviewing some of that information. That will be in your board packet for the next COW meeting. Please take the time to do a careful study and review on that and ask questions. as to the methodology and how and whatever the case is, so you can see how that comes together. So that'll be on the discussion for the cow next week, and it'll be a big discussion. So we want all your input and all your feedback on that. So if no other comments, thank you for coming in this beautiful weather, which we did need the rain. We are adjourned.
What are they talking about?